I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Playing from the Tips, the preview and tipping show from Golf Australia magazine, where like everyone we're nursing a slight Masters hangover, yet soldier on as the world of professional golf keeps moving. I'm your host, Jimmy Emanuel, and joining me to take a look at the PGA, LPGA and Asian tours this week are two of our so-called experts fresh off some good tipping at Augusta, one of whom even managed to tip the eventual winner of the year's first major. I speak, of course, of Golf Australia magazine's resident left field thinker and World Golf's premier pathman, Adrian Logue, who told us exactly a week ago that Jon Rahm would win the green jacket. Logue, apart from any gloating, have you got some Masters highlights for us?
No, I was just going to gloat.
It was just a pure gloat.
Since this time yesterday, it's all you've had on your mind.
Yeah.
Come here and gloat.
Rahm, just magnificent. He was saving it up for the majors, and he's going to be unstoppable this major season.
Unstoppable. Are you ready to tip him now for the remaining three?
No, but he's surely going to contend if he can stay healthy. It's just, he's just so good.
Why wouldn't he stay healthy?
It's just like, well, somebody could come along and beat him on any given thing, but he's going to be in contention in all four majors. He's
having his 3-year
so
window, isn't he? He's having his 18-month window as Harrington.
I think he's a bit more than the.
I agree, but he's He's not Tiger, but he's that next rung down before you get to have a 3-year window player.
Yeah. And my other pick, did Jason Day finish top Aussie?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he didn't, because he had
Let's
80 the last day.
Okay.
What? We'll talk about that. Okay, sorry.
Yes, that other voice you can hear is the only golf columnist, I think, who managed to write 2 columns during Masters Week that were distinctly not about the Masters. Rod Morri. Rod, what excited or disappointed you about the Masters?
They were Masters adjacent, weren't they? Before we come to that, has
one mentioned Augusta National Golf Club as a jumping off point. That's about it.
That's Masters adjacent, isn't it? Has Logue gone beyond so-called? Can we call it? How many winners has he had this year? It's been pretty good, hasn't it? He's had a couple, I think.
Am I leading the
I think he's had 3 winners.
3 winners.
Yes.
There you go. Get on me.
Yeah.
3 winners.
Do not ever say that again.
I don't need to hear that ever again in my life.
Ever again.
You and I, Rod, though, have had 14 top 10s, and I've had 2 wins. So we're consistent.
Logue's
a bit more of a...
Yeah, Clates is off us. He doesn't like consistent. You're better off to win 3 times a year and miss every other cut.
You can make a career out of that.
Yeah, sure.
You can make a career out of a couple of wins.
We're Patrick Cantlaying our way through life here, Jimmy.
Well, a little quicker than that, hopefully, I think.
Well, let's hope so. What was it? I really was taken by the Augusta, what I wrote about yesterday, the Augusta National announcement about the public hope. I want to see what happens with that. It had the bit of a feel about the big flashy announcement, we're going to support the local public golf course. I can't see any reason why they wouldn't live up to that commitment, but it'll be really interesting to see what it looks like.
Yeah,
I read from someone that they went down to Augusta Municipal Golf Course when the announcement was made, and no one at the patch knew anything about it.
I read a separate story. Well, I didn't know it's got real ties to Jim Dent.
Jim Dent Way is the way in there.
Exactly, and his son is the pro there. So look, that could be a really interesting. I hope that turns into something really interesting and a model, as I wrote yesterday.
I'll be using the Jim Dent signature Big Bertha as a homage to that on this Thursday.
In your own little homage.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Anyway, there you go. So that's what caught my eye. The Masters is always interesting, but that catches everybody's eye. And of course, you got to watch all that. But I think that's a really interesting potential development for the long term. It's not as sexy as the Masters and 4 days of golf, but it's interesting. That's what caught my eye.
I think on Logue's point about Rahm, before we finish introducing you, I think Rahm is one of the few that isn't in his 2-3 year window. He's a career-long sort of a prospect.
There's 3 levels of players there. There's Tiger, there's the genuinely special where Rahm and McIlroy and Spieth sit, and then there's the 3-year window guys, which are unbelievably
looks
good
like
players.
A Scheffler sort of thing,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And he's been on tour for 8 years or so now. And I think he's won every year as well.
Long
Is that
Rahm?
Yeah.
You'd be close to, yeah. Not
7,
8 years, not that long.
6 or 7. He played his first Masters in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
And had never played it as an amateur. which is quite amazing.
No,
Anyway,
no, because he
You're right.
didn't really win a huge amount apart from college events as an amateur. He was sort of,
He's a special talent. Though the one thing I will say about, and this is just about modern golf, we're in an era now where I don't think you'll see another Tiger where there's a 25-year career. At some point, the way they play the game with that power game, bodies are going to break down. That's not been the case with golf before. Mickelson is an outlier, and what he did was amazing yesterday. But as he said himself, he's injury-free. He's never had injuries. He's always had that incredibly languid, flexible kind of body.
He could set some records that nobody
will ever touch. No, that's exactly right. And won't he have the last laugh on Tiger if he does?
Yeah.
But I don't see Rahm. We've seen Jason Day. Zalatoris has had his second back surgery at the age of 26. You look at that Sam Bennett. He has to snap in two at some point, doesn't he? Like him, Neiman, that same kind of...
Yeah.
You just can't do that into your 30s, 40s, 50s. And I think that's the thing that will stop us seeing another Tiger is the way the game's changed. Even Tiger himself, he's broken. So, yeah.
Exception.
But I think, Rahm is definitely there. There's Tiger and Jack and then there's that second tier, and I think Rahm's in there. You're right.
Yeah,
Anyway.
agreed. So those tips took us to 8 wins and 61 top 10s of the year, so we do somewhat know what we're talking about as a group. But let's move on to this week, and we have the traditional PGA Tour Masters follow-up with the RBC Heritage at Harbour Town in South Carolina. A staple on tour and in this slot for a long time. RBC Heritage this year is quite unbelievably a designated event for the PGA Tour, meaning the big names are all but required to make their way and tee it up the week following a major, so long as your name isn't Rory McIlroy and you can withdraw from your second designated event of the year, which I assume, given it's kind of Jay Monahan is all-powerful in this, he won't face any issues for, but no reason given to the withdrawal, but Rory not there this week. You'd have to assume it's a designated event, perhaps this year. It's rewarding a long-time sponsor in RBC, host venue as well, and that next year you won't have the same status for this event, particularly given Rory pulling out and already a bit of noise about it within the playing group that they wouldn't want to play the week after a major, most of them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this event next year. But Jon Rahm is, of course, playing. So to defending champion Jordan Spieth, who beat Patrick Cantlay in a playoff last year. Basically the who's who of the PGA Tour, including Aussies Cam Davis, Lucas Herbert, Adam Scott and Minwoo Lee, who is chasing special temporary membership on the PGA Tour after he gets in here via being in the top 50 in the world ranking. And a good Australian history here as well. You've got Graham Marsh, Greg Norman, Peter Lonard, and Aaron Badley all having had to wear that embarrassing and god-awful tartan jacket. Can you imagine going from trying to win a green jacket that you'd wear everywhere, as much as it may not be a good-looking thing, and then you win a tartan jacket the week after?
Let's just back up. Aside from the golf this week, what is going on with this time? Why would you put a designated event the week after the Masters? Spieth's already said that he was too tired at the Masters. That's what cost him. And now he's got to back up again this week. Of course, Rory's playing. I don't understand what they were thinking, Jimmy.
I like I say, the PGA Tour's language around it is very much around this season. It is a designated event. They obviously had a commitment to the number of designated events they wanted to have, and they had to find established events to do that with. And like I say, RBC's been a very solid sponsor on the PGA Tour of both this event and the Canadian Open. And Harbour Town, I mean, they've been playing at Harbour Town since, I think, 1969.
Been a long time.
Good course. Usually
Good
get
golf
good winners.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a high-profile week, I think, because interest in golf's peaked a little bit. You can see why this tournament is won, but it has never had this sort of field.
No, it's always had a decent field because you had, like, Dustin Johnson was an RBC guy for a long time.
Yeah.
And he would play. Jordan Spieth plays pretty regularly. Rahm has played it once in 2020. There was always a decent sort of group of guys.
Luke Donald's always in.
Yeah.
Well, McDowell regularly contended there too, if I recall.
Yeah. Ernie Els used to tee it up there, and Ernie is actually back playing this week.
You have to feel, don't you, that next year's going to be a disaster for the PGA Tour with a lot of this stuff. They're going to take a long-term sponsor like RBC and it's just not going to work.
Maybe they
As
can
a
move it.
designated event. Well, can they?
Maybe.
The reason
It's
it
a-
works is
it'll
because
be-
it's the week
It'd
after
be a
the
hell
It's
of, it'd be a hell
it's
of a lot better
100
preparation for the Masters than that thing we had a couple of weeks ago.
It's 120 miles down the road from the gates at Augusta National. That's why it's on.
It's a resort
and
place. It's lovely. They
Golf
take their
course,
family there.
golf course
Golf
wise, you know, it's narrow, it's tree lined, it's much more about ball striking. So you wouldn't have thought they'd want to play there the week before the Masters. They don't get many drivers around there. So
True.
it strikes as they've tried to do the opposite of what they did with the Honda Classic, and Honda, who was the longest term sponsor on the PGA Tour, where they've lost Honda because they didn't give them designated status. But all it's going to do is upset the players. But it's an interesting decision.
Anyway, we're far from done with this whole
Interesting.
the whole disrupt a league and everything, the fallout from that. We're years from that sorting itself
Well,
out.
I
This
mean-
is going to be one of those.
To be fair, Liv plays its next event next week, and that's all the way down here in Adelaide. I can't imagine too many of them would have been stoked about getting on a plane for that length of time either. So,
Koepka will be a joy on that flight, won't he?
yeah.
To be around.
Yeah.
Hey?
Anyway, let's
Let's
get some tips, Logue. You're the winning form, so you may as well lead us off. Your deep research.
Well, you mentioned the jacket and the jacket that you get, the RBC Heritage, which I think there was somebody who was reviewing Full Swing, or they were tweeting about it or something, and left a screenshot of the presentation from the Heritage and said, "Is there anything that screams golf more than
A red tartan.
everything in this photo?" A bunch of old blokes in red tartan. I can see Matt Fitzpatrick looking pretty good in that jacket, though. And this is a course that suits his game. Interestingly, the players will tell you that they always hold this course up in the anti-rollback argument, because they say this is how this is how you combat length. Long players don't win here, and it's kind of true. Matt Fitzpatrick is my pick. He showed some form last week. He's been in bad form, but
Ewan Porter tweeted that he's a mud runner. He reckons he's the best bad weather player in world golf. And apparently he got. I didn't see the original tweet that Ewan put out, but he said he got howled down for that. And then midway through the round, he smugly noted that Matt Fitzpatrick was going very well.
Yeah.
I think
in the
the
weather.
best mud runner is actually Shane Lowry, who seems to play unbelievable golf when it rains, but he's not far off Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
Rod, a tip from you?
I'm going with our own Cam Davis. Third last year, but more importantly, he won't want to miss the Masters again. And this is the very first opportunity to make sure that doesn't happen for 2024 by having a win here. He's got everything, Cam. He's an underrated, understated type of player, but he's got everything. He could bob up and win any given week, including this one.
He's got a good first name. Cameron's a trending.
Cameron's
in golf.
going very
Cameron's
well.
on the way up in golf. Yeah, absolutely.
big time. Big time. So, yeah, and he didn't play the Masters last week. I think that works against you. Not to say you can't win here if you've played the Masters and played well or whatnot. Spieth proved that last year, I guess.
Yep.
Although I think he missed the cut at the Masters last year. But I think players who didn't play the Masters are more likely to sort of get up here. So, yeah, I'll go with Cam Davis.
Yeah, I think Spieth is an interesting one, but as he said, he's gassed. I mean, it's hard to
Put
go
the
against
house
the guy
on.
saying, yeah.
House on it.
He was impressive on the last day, but
He was.
instead, I'm going to go with Sahith Theegala, who is one of the best ball strikers, I reckon, out on tour. It's a ball strikers golf course. He was 9th last week on debut, and he's young, so he doesn't care about being tired. He's going to show up and play well, and he's already guaranteed himself a spot back at the Masters with that 9th last week. He has to win eventually. He has to be.
He's a delight as well, isn't he?
He is.
Just fantastic to watch.
He's also slipped straight into the Masters magician category. With the chip in on
you're
16.
bestowing that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he's tied 9th on debut and played a magical special shot at 16 that puts him straight in there. And he's one that before it was his first event. If you're going to say those who've never been there before, who would you think might go? Well, you would have picked him as one that might.
Yeah, absolutely.
But lovely bloke, great story, good character, everything to like about him. So good pick. I hope he does win this week.
So let's move on to the LPGA Tour, which this week is in Hawaii for the Lotte Championship presented by Hawakalai. Logue, what do we need to know?
The Lotte Championship presented by Hawakalai. This is the tournament with the hula dance presentation at the end.
Oh, of course.
Which is a bit degrading and
so we've
cultural
got
appropriation.
Tartan jacket and a hula dance this week. We're going good.
Yeah. I've never liked the look of that hula dance presentation, but anyway, they enjoy it, and it does
Hawaii really
it does
leans
immediately
in, doesn't
it immediately sets it in your mind as, oh, this is that Hawaii tournament.
Yep.
Hyo-Joo Kim is the defending champion. She also finished third in the recent LA Open, so she's bringing some good form in there. Past winner Brooke Henderson is one to look at, I think. She'd be hard to beat. She's won twice there. She won 2 years running, and she's looking to prepare for the Chevron, where she's had some success as well. So
Not where it is this year, though.
no,
Not
true,
where it
but-
is this year, and not with that name.
Indeed. But Brooke Henderson is a notable in the field. Celine Boutier, I think, is another notable. She's coming off her first tournament since the playoff win she had over Georgia Hall a few weeks ago in the drive-on. So those are a few, and Georgia Hall's another form player. So there's a few form players in this field. But interestingly, the tournament will feature all 31 of the LPGA's 2023 rookies. So
Okay.
I don't know what that tells you about the overall strength of field, but this is a field which isn't necessarily packed with all the stars, but there's an
Missing
opportunity
Minjee
there
and
for-
Hannah for a start, isn't it?
for all the
Both
rookies to get
both
across
the top
there.
Australians are out this week. So.
Yep, indeed. And of those rookies, one to watch is Minami Katsu, who's a 10-time winner on the Japan LPGA. And in her last start, she had a tied 7th at the LA Open. So that's one to watch.
And have you got a pick for us, Logue?
Oh, well, I've got to let you know a little bit about Hawakale Country Club.
Okay.
The
Okay.
host and presenting sponsor of the Lotte Championship.
Well, is that a bad sign when the course has to come in as a sponsor?
Well, Lotte's there is the name.
Well, Lotte
I know
is
they
the.
have
I think it's just getting the name of the course into the. It's obviously owned by a business, so.
Yeah, fair
Yeah. Firstly, there's a red flag on their website. They use this font called Amatic SC.
Can't be a decent tournament if the font's out of
I'm
whack.
sure everyone who visits thinking they'll go for a hit there goes, oh, no, I can't now.
It's a small caps hand-drawn font, and it's a bit of an odd choice. I can see what they're going for. They're going for sort of playful and fun and friendly, but it doesn't. It's a very odd choice. It's
Only you'd been
for
in
a
the meeting.
professional high-end resort. Exactly. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall in the meeting where they've chosen Amatic SC. As the font on the website. It's in Oahu. It's actually the longest course in Hawaii. They're not playing off those back tees though. It's designed by Ernie Els, second mention of Ernie Els in this podcast. And there's not a lot to say about it except that it has 112 bunkers and 9 water features.
Okay.
That's it.
That is
Can I
a terrible
suggest
font,
that-
isn't it? It's an awful
Can I
font.
suggest
He's
that
right.
they didn't have a meeting
Is
about
no one
the
understand what I'm
font?
talking about?
It's childish.
Yeah, I'm suggesting
Oh, you're
they
looking
didn't
at it
have
too?
a meeting. Yeah, I
It's
don't think
it's
they had a
outrageous.
meeting.
It's a clear red flag. Yeah, Waikale.
Despite
together.
all of this offence we've taken with the font, have you got a winner, Logue?
My pick is Inji Chun.
Yep.
Just getting into major season with the Chevron next week. I think Inji Chun's going to be peaking, and she's class.
Rod, a thought?
A nice pool, by the way, at the country club there.
Okay.
Just have a look at the website. Sorry. I was going to pick Georgia Hall, who's the form player at the moment, 2 seconds back-to-back in the last 2 tournaments, but I think you might have picked her as well. So I'll let you have her. I'm going to go with Brooke Henderson, who was my backup pick. 2-time winner. Loves this time of year. She's a rabid Christian, Brooke Henderson. Loves Easter in this time of year, and it probably contributes to good form around this time of year. So she posted some stuff over Easter on her Twitter account. But yeah, I'll go with Brooke Henderson.
I will take Georgia Hall, second twice. Looks to have done a lot of work in the off-season. So
She's had the slump, hasn't she? Good player who's had the slump. Every player has the slump.
I think
and
she
she's had
probably
the slump.
won. She probably won a bit earlier, a bigger event than everyone thought she would, and then sort of played at her level for a while. And so she can improve and be a better player, but she was probably actually playing at her level rather than slumping. So interested to see what she comes up with this year, particularly at the majors, because she's a good player. So
Yeah.
all right.
So
So finally,
not riding a wave of Christianity, though.
No, not like that.
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, all right. Good luck to her.
Finally, we go to the Asian tour, and this time the international series goes to Vietnam. And Rod, you're going to enlighten us on all the details.
Indeed, well, these are the 10, I think they're 10 or 12 events that use the PIF, the Saudi money to have these elevated events on the Asian tour, which has been great for the Asian tour. It's kind of the thing we don't speak about with LIV. This has been really good for the Asian tour and for Australian golfers in particular who get to play in Asia. So the purse is $2 million, which is their normal purses are closer to $750,000 or $1 million US. It's a Greg Norman designed golf course. There seems to be a bit of this in this international series, which is probably not really a surprise. Maybe it is just a coincidence, but it's in Vietnam. The KN Golf Links, Cam Ranh, 6,500 metres, so it's not short on distance. That'll be plenty of that. 5 par 4s, 5 par 3s, your standard setup. Scott Henn posted a photo this morning of some shark, the shark logo,
Oh, yeah.
some actual ornaments of that in the ground. I don't know whether Norman had anything to do with it, but
I'm
sort of
sure
large
he did.
versions of that.
I'm certain he did.
Staked into the ground around the place. So
Do you know who didn't have anything to do with it? Ernie Els. That's just a 3 for you, Lo.
Yeah.
there you go, the trifecta. Well done, Ernie. The course actually looks pretty interesting. Big rolling landscape on the beachfront. Wind will be a factor. It's sort of rolling and wrinkled ground. How much of that Norman's inserted, how much was actually there, hard to say. Does look to be some quite difficult holes out there. Who knows what's going to happen? They've never played a tournament here. This is the first of this tournament that's to be played. Does seem to be a bit of internal water around the golf course as well. So there could be some interesting stuff in terms of the golf. Players to watch, well, the list is all the Australians, virtually. The best-known names, Casey, Lahiri, Takumi Kanaya, Andy Ogletree are the ones people have probably heard of in the field. Loads of players we haven't heard of, and it's probably going to be one of them that ends up winning the tournament because that's how these things work. The amateur TK, can you give us his name in full, Jimmy?
Chantanan or what?
Surname? Ratchanon Chantananawat. Yeah, exactly. He's a really impressive player. He's got a sponsors invite this week, as have 3 Saudi Arabian golfers, which is interesting. You wonder what the politics...
TK gets no shortage of sponsors because
of course.
he's more covered than Sam Bennett for an amateur. So,
and he is
logos.
The man, though. He is the man, though. He's a great person.
He has got
great golf
has got
name.
Has got a live logo on the collar of his shirt. At least last time I saw him in person. So
yeah, indeed. So look, the 3 Saudi invites I thought were interesting. Is this doing something for golf in Saudi Arabia? Is there perhaps a small positive in there somewhere?
There's been a couple of times they've played some Asian Tour events this year. A couple of Saudi players. So maybe there is something.
Well, yeah. Australians in the field, there's bucket loads of them. Tom Power Horan, Scott Henn, Wade Ormsby. I won't go through the full list. The ones that I think we'll probably see bob up this week, Tom Power Horan, who was really impressive at the National a couple of weeks ago. This course doesn't look completely dissimilar to that necessarily. Got a links field, there's no trees, big sandy waste areas, blowout bunkers that aren't constructed, just part of the sort of wasteland. As will John Loris, I think. I really like the look of him at the National. Didn't have his best stuff yet, played well.
Must be
that was
completely knackered, though. He's been playing so much golf.
Yeah. Has had a week or so off.
He's young, I guess.
Yeah, and they're young. And this kind of field here, I mean, it's not like stepping up to the Masters or the US Open. It's, they're in company that sort of is applicable. Trav Smythe, Wade Ormsby, our 2 winners so far this year on the Asian Tour, both there. You wouldn't write them off. Zach Murray, good player. Todd Sinnott. He's a really interesting Todd Sinnott. I thought he was going to just come rifling back after that win here in Australia last year, and it hasn't quite happened the way you thought. This course could. I'll tell you who this course might suit is Marcus Fraser.
Yep.
Who surprised everybody, I think, at the Olympics. Not a completely dissimilar course to this, where you can get the ball on the ground and running, etc. Andy Ogletree, maybe. Rio Hitzes.
How about we live in a world where Andy Ogletree's still bobbing up?
This tour,
after he won that US Amateur, I was thinking there's no way we're going to see this bloke again. But he's to his credit,
he's found himself a place here, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
This is kind of his only place, isn't it? So there's a real incentive for him to do well here, and he has done. He's had 3 top 10 out of 4 starts in there.
He would have been the kind of guy who would have had maybe a career on the Corn Ferry Tour, bobbing away and trying and occasionally getting promoted and coming back, and he's kind of found his niche by playing Asian Tour events. He's one of the better players there. So,
and the bloke he beat in the US Amateur final at Pinehurst that year, I thought he was a star, and I haven't seen
Augenstein?
Yeah, Augenstein. Yeah.
John Augenstein.
Yeah, what's happened to him?
Yeah. Oh, mate, golf's
not sure.
Golf's really hard.
Signed an equipment deal with Wilson. That's about the last thing I remember hearing from him. So
anyway, look, it'll be an interesting event this week. Who knows who's going to win? I'm going to tip Takumi Kanaya because he's just such a good player. He's got to win lots. He's already won one of these International Series events. Wouldn't surprise me to see him win another, but that's really just chucking a dart at a list of names and seeing what it hits.
Oh, is that how it's done in the
sometimes,
as a so-called expert?
Sometimes,
yeah. I've done the same thing and gone with Tom Power Horan. So yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. Love to see him win at Tom Power Horan.
I'm going with Lahiri. He's a class player. That's undeniable. He's going to be one to watch this week. I'm interested to see this golf course. Have they played there before?
No, they haven't played this tournament. They haven't played this golf course, and it looks really interesting sort of land. So
I'll try and catch.
Did Harley have anything to do with it?
He might have. Yeah, he's been over there a fair bit, but I'll ask him about it.
Yeah,
I'll get some inside info for you.
That might be the most interesting tournament this week. Do we know? Is it going to be televised here?
I think so.
See it on Fox?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's it for everything for this week. Impressive effort from us to bounce back after Masters Week, I think. But thank you for listening and coming along for the ride. Keep up to date with all of these tournaments and more on golfaustralia.com.au, and keep out for the May issue of Golf Australia magazine, which is on sale this Thursday with Rory McIlroy on the cover. He talks about being the most complete player he has ever been, despite not playing designated events. And
Not the most complete schedule, just the most complete player.
We look at Jason Day's resurgence and see if Caddyshack stands the test of time through the words of Adrian Logue.
Ooh.
We will see you next week on Playing from the Tips.